The Lost Art with Andrew Cox. Stay motivated and change your socks. Hey!
The Lost Art with Andrew Cox podcast. A Marine Corps League and Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. Now streaming on all major podcast platforms. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast that's given a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having a veteran story. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying the podcast? And make sure you go to the website. That's thelostart.podbean.com. Go check us out, see what we're all about. There is a merchandise tab. You can click on that, go in there and get you some cool gear. Help support us in getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. Also, a big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project. Make sure you go and check them out at their website. And if there's any way you can help them, it would be much appreciated. That's tillvalhallaproject.com. And as always, for all you Marines that have gotten out, those FMF sailors that are out there, there's a place for you. It's called the Marine Corps League. Go check them out and let's get their ranks up. That's mcleague.org. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. All right, we're back here. I have Kelly Cole, Marine veteran, Marine musician. As you all know, I was a Marine musician, so it's always fun to hear about other Marine musicians that have been out there. But Kelly, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Andrew?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm excited to have you on and to hear your story.
Well, this is a new thing for me, so it's kind of exciting too.
Well, let's start at the beginning. And where did you grow up? What was that like? And then what drew you into military service?
I grew up in the town actually that I live in right now, Ringwood, New Jersey. It's northwest New Jersey and very 10, 15 minutes away from the New York state line. And it was nice. It was a quiet, peaceful neighborhood. We lived across the street from a lake. We fished all the time. We camped. I was in Girl Scouts, all of that stuff. And it was a good way to grow up. And
Absolutely.
one of the things that led me to want to enlist is, I've always been very patriotic, and I'm not sure exactly where that came from, though. My father. My late father was a Marine. He was a combat engineer. He enlisted right after Korea was over, and they sent him over, I guess, for what you would refer to as a cleanup or something. And then I had on my mother's side of the family 3 or 4 uncles. One in the Navy, and the rest were in the Army, and they were all Vietnam.
Oh wow!
Era veterans. And, and my sense of patriotism was such that the summer after I graduated high school, which was 1979, I was on vacation at my grandparents' house in Illinois, and I thought, oh, I can do it now? Yeah. Selective service. I walked up around the corner in my bare feet like everybody did. It was farm country. And I walked into the post office and registered for selective service. And who knows that they might even be that, but I enlisted. And here I am.
Very nice. And so it was 79 when you actually went to boot camp? Did you hear me?
I graduated high school in 79.
Okay.
10th of February, 1981 is when I went to boot camp.
Okay.
At Paris
awesome.
Island.
Well, talk to me about boot camp back in that time. What was that like? Was it challenging, or was it everything that you dreamed of?
That's a good one. I didn't know what I was dreaming of. I had no idea what to think. I knew it would be tough, regimented, nothing but order and discipline. Um, but I was so psyched, and I thought I would tell everybody that I knew that, oh, I'm going to get barracks duty, and who knew that I actually was going to get that. But I would read all the books I would read all the books on the Marine Corps and what things were going to be like. And one of the last books I read before I met my recruiter to go to the I think they call it AP's office back then, was a
Mhm.
book called See Paris and Die. But I never finished that one, needless to say.
Yeah.
But it was an experience. When I was in such admiration of my drill instructors. I'm friends with all but one of them now on Facebook. We
Wow.
keep in touch, and yeah, um, as I was a high school musician also, and my high school band director is a gentleman I mentioned to you earlier, and he was tough. So I had a very good introduction to order and discipline and things like that. In fact, marching to the in boot camp, marching to the chow hall one day, one of my drill instructors pulled me out of formation and was like, "Did your recruiter teach you to march?" "Ma'am, no, ma'am." And well, the high school band director. My high school band director did that. We were very, slide and glide the whole thing,
Right.
and um, I didn't find that part difficult at all. But the other things, I think I had such a passion, desire to really get into it
Hmm.
and follow through to the end and wear that old eagle globe and anchor, et cetera. That it was a challenge,
Hmm.
tough and a challenge, of course, but I loved it the whole time. So
Right.
I mean, it was good. It was one of the best experiences I've ever been through.
Yeah. And how many drill instructors did you actually have? Was it three or four?
Three. No, no, no. Senior Sergeant Money, and then Morgan, Myers, and Brown. Yep, we had four. And one of them,
Very
when I
nice.
went to DI school, was one of my instructors.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Now, when you joined up, did you know what your job was going to be?
I did. I
Okay.
did. I knew that I wanted to enlist, and I first responded to one of those postcards that back in the late 70s, early 80s, I would get every now and then from the Navy. And then, with all due respect to that branch of the service, I didn't like his appearance and I just didn't care for it. And I thought he was a little too
Right.
nonchalant. And I thought, well, thank you. And I started on my way out. And of course, the Marine office is right, very last thing on the right. So eyes right, and there is my recruiter with his in his blues with his top thing undone and just sitting there. But he says, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "Huh, okay." Pardon me. I'm a musician. I've been doing this for this long, and can you tell me anything about the music program? And and for those of us who served, uh, some of us can say, "Well, my recruiter lied to me," but I had two, and neither one of them did. Gunnery
Very
Sergeant
nice.
Carey, yeah, he said, "I don't know very much about the music program, but I will find out." And then about 3 weeks later, I was on a bus to Washington, D.C., auditioning for the music program at Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. No, I'm a tuba player, so I've been
Okay.
playing almost 50 years now. But I went in there and Gunny Johnson was standing there, and he put me through my paces with an audition. And honestly, don't remember if I was asked to play a contrabass, but he handed me a baritone bugle, and we got to the end of the audition. And he goes, "All right, you're going to play baritone."
Oh wow.
And I said, "Yeah, but tuba player." And he said, "Not anymore." And I'm like, "Well, yeah." So, and I served with Gunny Johnson. He was there the whole time that I was at 8th and and I didn't know that I was going to be with the Commandant's Own, the Marine Drum and Bugle Corps. I had no idea. I just knew that I passed the audition, and I just didn't put two and two together. So I went back home and didn't find out until I got back to Pompton Lakes, where my recruiter was. Well, you're going to be in the Marine Drum and Bugle Corps. I'm like, stop. But yeah, well, yeah. And oh my God, the fun I had.
Was that what you wanted, was going to the Drum and Bugle Corps?
I don't think I knew what I wanted. I wanted to be in the music program.
Okay.
So, I thought I've always loved music, and I thought, why not do what I love while I'm doing what I'm trying to go for? And I was a brief former member of the Garfield Cadets Drum and Bugle Corps on contrabass bugle, but I wasn't really thrilled with them and their way of business and stuff, and I left. And about 6 weeks later is when I enlisted, when I went into the recruiter's office, and I'm I remember telling some of the former members, the alumni members of the Commandant's Own, that it wasn't about being in Drum and Bugle Corps, wasn't all about Drum Corps. I really mainly wanted to be a Marine, and really that's what it was all about. And what a blessing, here I am doing what I love.
Yeah, absolutely.
While I'm doing what I love.
Yeah. Now after boot camp, then did you go to any like combat training or anything like that?
No, not yet. No, we didn't do that yet. In fact, in 1981, female recruits were FAM firing on the M16, and that's as far as it went. And we went to the gas chamber, of course, but for something really strange, there's some kind of malfunction in the gas chamber, and we got there, and another instructor came walking out and said like that, and there's some kind of a malfunction, and we didn't get to go. I was never in the gas chamber. No, and I'm slightly thankful, from what I understand about it.
Yeah, you missed out. Yeah, you missed out. There's lots of snot and everything else. It's a good time.
Yeah, somehow I don't think so. It's most likely better than a lot of things we've been through.
Yeah, true.
Oh yeah.
So at that point, then you went from boot camp directly up to 8th and I. Then.
Actually, no. Went to the Naval School of Music, NAB. NAB Little Creek. It was right down the road from Fort Story, and that was 6 months, and I was actually there 9.5 months because I don't know how it happened, but I got mono, and I was home 4 or 5 weeks on convalescent leave.
Oh wow!
And but one day, and I was already starting to feel better. I was getting close to the time when I would get on the bus and come back. And my brother said, "You want to go to a Queen concert?" Yeah. So sorry, folks. I went to a Queen concert at the Philadelphia Spectrum with my brother while I was home and getting better. Not at all. Not now. I'm sorry, but you know what I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah.
Okay, no, we're good now.
But
We're good. I'm on a phone call,
so,
Bob.
Oh, okay.
so the School of
good.
Music,
Oh,
the School of Music, when
Yeah.
you were there, so the Drum and Bugle Corps don't go to the School of Music anymore. They go directly to the Drum and Bugle Corps. So
Yeah.
sitting, what was your experience as a Drum and Bugle Corps? Was there specific stuff designed for that?
I don't there may have been, but I don't remember actually taking something called the DMB course or the band course, you know. What
Right.
I remember is, I don't know if you know of him, Master Gunnery Sergeant Eric Bay. He passed away years ago, but
Heard the name.
he was where you were. Yeah, he was where you were.
Mm-hmm.
And he was even the drum major of the Commandant's Own at one point. And I was the I became the sweep the floor and empty the butts and empty the trash can person when I reported into there for him. So I don't know, maybe there was an actual, you know, division of D&B and band, but I think there probably was. Because I remember hearing you mention in your episode where there was a vocal coach. I'm like, I've never heard of that. I don't remember.
No, that's
vocal
all
coaches.
new. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. No, there was. There must have been, because I don't remember being put together with other musicians, non-drum corps. I think we were all together in one, except for maybe music theory.
Right.
Other than that, I don't think so.
Wow. Okay. And other than that, did you enjoy your time at the schoolhouse when you were there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We had a blast, and it was right around the time when Rocky Horror Picture Show came out. And every Friday night when we went on Liberty, every Friday night when we went on Liberty, there were two guys with station wagons. We would put, I think we fit like eight kids in eight of us in one station wagon, and another one, I don't know how many, but I remember just being, you know, the expression asshole to belly button, basically. That's what it was like. But you know, we went and we brought the newspaper and the flashlights and the squirt guns and the rice and all that stuff that went along with it. And it was a riot. We saw it like 12 or 13 times. Joke.
Oh, wow.
And it was fun. And we got a chance to go the surrounding cities and participate in activities on different bases, like something that was somewhat of a surprise to me. I said I was out on convalescent leave for mono, and when I came back, it was a Saturday morning. Well, I came back a Friday night, and Saturday morning, I'm sitting down in the duty hut lounge watching cartoons, and somebody says, "Hey, Cole, you want to go to Fort Story and let's run a half marathon?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I thought he wanted to go to breakfast. So I ran a half marathon that day. You know,
very nice.
It wasn't a lot of fun, but it was an experience. Yeah, It was a surprise.
Yeah, I when I was there, I actually lived on Fort Story, and then of course the School of Music's over on Little Creek. But they combined the bases. Now it's under one command. It's Fort Story Little Creek is what it's called now.
Okay.
Yeah, and then now
I remember running through the golf course.
Yeah, they still do that.
Yeah.
Very nice. So you went from the School of Music then up to 8th and I?
Yes. We there was another Marine, a staff sergeant, who was going to go to the same unit, and he had a motorcycle. So he rode his motorcycle from Little Creek, and I drove his car or his truck. I can't even remember what it was. But we reported it on the 2nd of February of '82.
Very nice. Now,
Yeah.
what was that like checking into the barracks? You know, the barracks is spit, shine, polish, and all that type of stuff. So, what was that like for you?
Mm. I didn't. Yeah. I it it that was an experience too. I saw a familiar face right away with uh we were directed to the second deck where the drum corps was, and then I went with the Staff Sergeant Bookert, and we went up there, and he just taps me on the shoulder, says, "There's that Gunny Johnson that auditioned me." I'm like, you don't just go, "What's up?" You don't do
Yeah,
that. Not there. Um, so I went back and spoke to him afterward, but I had to check in with the duty, and duty was turned out to be Lance Corporal, soon to be Corporal Chris Massara, who turned out to be the best friend I have ever had on active duty.
nice.
And yeah, he actually took my gear. We went through the Deep Six, which is like an underground tunnel to the parking lot, and then up to the women's side of the barracks. And he dropped my gear there for me. And we've been friends ever since.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Matter of fact, he just had a heart valve replaced, and he had one replaced 13 years ago. And I went out there to Cleveland Clinic and walked into his hospital room and visited with him for a while, and it shocked the living daylights out of him. But there he is, and he's still here, and he just had that one replaced. But he's
Wow.
doing well. But yeah,
That's good.
we were a tight bunch. We remain a tight bunch.
Yeah.
That's just a whole part of the Marine Corps. So, it's always the whole Semper Fi thing. That's not a joke. Not at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We always stick
Now,
together.
yeah. Now, how did you getting integrated into the unit and learning the shows and all that type of stuff? It's from what I know, very precise. You have to know exactly what you're doing when you're doing it, things like that. So how was that for you?
It was a little bit more intense than quite a bit more intense. Come on, than what I did in school, obviously. But I mean, it. We didn't use liars. I
Yeah.
think you did in the band, but and whatever, up to you all. But we had to memorize everything. If we had a sit down concert, we still had to memorize everything. Or
Ooh.
no, stand up. But we never did a sit down concert. We did sit down rehearsals on the center walk. But that's the only time we ever had music that I can recall.
Wow.
But other than that, we memorized everything we did. The whole entire field show, but doesn't everybody?
Yeah.
Everybody does that. It was very, once again, regimented. Yeah. We had, everybody there had a huge sense of humor, but you needed to do what you needed to do and
Right.
follow directions. And there's a certain kind of etiquette in that area. You even if you're on your own, you're walking down the sidewalk, and you pass the center walk, the flag is on the other side of the brick wall, and you
Yeah.
salute. Doesn't matter if nobody's looking, you salute.
Yep.
That and yeah, we had it was a different kind of etiquette that you followed there, but with the unit, there was also a thing where whenever we went someplace, the lance corporals and below, we would load the plane, and we had to be able to be tight. We had to be able to get along together. So when you talk about what was it like there, we always had to make sure we worked together. Just like everybody else in the military period, we had our morning duties, and
Right.
I don't know how I made it into fixing the majors. No, he was a captain then. Captain Crawford's coffee is one half a little fizz pill and a splash of cream. And yeah. And I made sure his shoes were in the right spot. And it was Cole. How did you get that job? What kind of a suck up are you? And I'm like, not me. But then there was always that sense of humor where they play with you, and there's always somebody playing a joke on somebody else, and not in a bad way, nothing to do harm to you. But I remember doing my morning duties, and the next thing was go upstairs and get warm up for rehearsal. And I just walked in the rehearsal hall door, and I hear the captain's voice, Cole, and I looked at the gunny, and he goes, and I'm like, somebody had nailed his shoes to the deck.
What?
Yeah. Yes. Where the ball of his foot
funny.
would be inside his shoe.
Yeah.
Somebody nailed him to the deck. And I'm like, I didn't do that. It's not me. But it was that kind of a crowd. But, and I don't mean that any disrespect to anybody there, because it was an honor to serve, especially in a place like that. You represented the whole Marine Corps, but we had our sense of humor. There was no denying that. There were some really great musicians and great people there.
Very nice. And now, how long were you at 8th and I total?
I 82, 83, 84, 85. I think it was 3 years.
Okay. And what were some of the big events and the big like ceremonies and jobs that you did that really stuck out? Oh
goodness, the Texas State Fair. That's some of the trips we went on. Every year for the birthday, we would it would be our intention, I should say, to go to Cuba, Guantanamo. The first year we got sucked in one of the trains and we couldn't go. The second year we went. We stayed on Marine Hill. We had the chance to go and not scuba diving, but the one is a little bit of a step back from that.
Snorkeling.
But I got to take. Thank you. I told you I lose words sometimes, but it was what an experience. And you got to see some of the things you never thought you would see. One of the staff NCO of the Guard, he used to be stationed at 8th and I. He said, "Hey, you want to tour?" I said, "Sure." I went up there. We got a chance to climb up in the big tower and use the binoculars, what they call the big eyes. And I took my little, I think it was a 110 camera at the time, and matched it up against the lens. And I took pictures of Cuban soldiers playing volleyball and having a barbecue.
Kidding. Wow.
Yeah, it was. And then he gave me a ride back to the flight line. You think about flight lines. I remember one night, I think we were in Miramar, and sometimes you go to sleep and you wake up and you think, "Oh my God, where am I? I'm late. I thought I missed the flight home." Yeah. And I was only asleep for like 2 hours, but it wasn't until the next day.
That's funny.
I think one of the biggest ones, one of the ones that stands out most of all, though, is the Texas State Fair. When I was, we were done for the day. I went to the bar. I had something to eat, something to drink, and I said, "That's it. It's time for me to go back to my room, go to sleep." And I remember sitting down and turning the TV on, and then breaking news: Beirut. They bombed Beirut.
Oh, wow.
The barracks.
Yeah.
And I didn't take another drink for like a year and a half. And I don't know if the two actually tied together or not, but I just couldn't stand the thought of doing that. It just made me think about Beirut every time.
Wow.
It just made me sick to my stomach. But there were a lot of other really cool places. We got to explore different cultures. We even went to military tattoo we did with Fort Henry Guard in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. And it was a military tattoo that they would do exchange. 1 year is Canada, 1 year was DC. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We went all over the country though.
Yeah. Now, how many, like, how often were you actually traveling, do you think?
Ooh, percentage-wise, I don't know if I could say really. I would think it would. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 50% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a ton, and C-130s and what is it? A CH-53, the helicopter.
53, yeah.
Going to. We had to do a performance at Quantico, and we were at we went across the river to Anacostia, and we got on the helicopter, and they took off. I'm like, okay, where are we going to go? You know, and so they pointed out because the back hatch was open. The back end was all the way open. So we're watching out, the river all the way up and everything. It was cool. We had a group with the pilots. One of them, Major Corey, was really cool. He seemed to be our pilot so often with the DC-9. I think they call it a C-9B or something like that. And he would let us come up and sit in the jump seat sometimes to watch landing and stuff like that. And I happened to one day it was my turn, and I had a couple of pieces of licorice in my hand, and he told me, "Oh, cool, can I have one of those?" And that turned into it every time Major Corey was our pilot. One of us would bring a pound of licorice, and we would split it. And for 2 years, he and his family sent me a pound of licorice at Christmas. After I got out. Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, flying in those helicopters is a lot of fun. Especially if you can see out the back and stuff like that, and see what's going on. Because if not, you're pretty much shut up in the inside. You can't see anything.
Yeah. What is it? What is P3? Is that the one with the radar in it?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
It's a smaller aircraft, but it's an airplane, but it's a smaller aircraft. And every time you have a place to sit down, there's like some radar get up in front of you all the time. We flew those sometimes.
Wow.
That was fun. I think the most memorable thing with the flights were when we would come home from wherever, like especially Garibaldi, Oregon, when we had too much of whatever we were hydrating with, and we were on now I can't remember the name of the aircraft. It was that gigantic thing. It wasn't
the DC-9. Was it a DC-9? Kind of like a commercial. Bigger. Oh,
no.
Oh, bigger than that.
I can't remember. It looked like it had a weight problem. Oh, I don't know. I don't it's not the Galaxy. It's a little bit smaller than that. I just can't remember the name of it right now. But we used to fly home in that, where we would have to get strapped in, and I had a Mickey Mouse backpack because the Mickey Mouse head was a good pillow.
Oh,
but half
nice.
of us on there were drunk. We were drunk from the night before, so we're like just as green as our camis.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one year we carried a commandant home on the pallet. I think it was not General Barrows, but might have been General Barrows when he passed away. We shared a plane with him.
Wow.
But he was on the pallet. He was gone.
That's wild.
And yeah. And nobody was allowed to go up there or anything.
Yeah.
It's a unique experience.
Yeah, for sure. Now, did you guys participate in his funeral and stuff for that?
We did not. No. That would have been up at the cemetery, and there would have been one of us one of the soprano buglers, the ceremonial bugler, to go ahead and do his duty that way.
Right.
And possibly the President's Own may have been there, the band.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
they do
we
all
did
those.
not go.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. So now, did you get out after that? After your stint there?
Well, I didn't want to. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to see what we all used to call the real Marine Corps. And when it came time to sign my package, I said, retention of MOS, change of duty station. And the major's words were, he was a colonel by then, and your red blouse hasn't faded yet. You're staying here. So I wouldn't sign my package.
Wow.
And
Okay.
and he, I'm not going to say on here what he said, but I wouldn't sign my package.
Yeah.
But he had that kind of an attitude, and I wasn't real thrilled with his response either. But what are you going to do? So 6 weeks later, after I got out, I went down the street to the recruiter and I came back in.
Oh,
And
nice.
they made me take the ASVAB again. That's beyond me, the reason. But they said, oh, you did really, really well. You might even be able to go like home where you want to go, aviation, anything like that. Lakehurst.
Yeah.
It would have been close to New Jersey. I mean, in New Jersey,
Uh-huh.
because I'm from here. And they said, oh, yeah, you may even be able to go to OCS. I'm like, awesome. So when we go to the MEP station, that's what it was called at that point.
Yeah.
I go to sign in. We raise our hand. We've done it. And then I go back to the admin section and see this gunny. And she says, hold on, let me go get your orders. And she comes out and says, I'm waiting. I'm bracing myself, thinking she's going to send me off to Quantico or some glorious place like that. And she said, Corporal Cole? I'm like, no. Your field is short. You're going to 29 Palms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went to 29 Palms too.
Yeah.
Unlike some of the other Marines that have been at 29 Palms, they were in combat. I was not.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it's going to be a little bit different, my interpretation of the place. But
Yeah.
I loved it. It was a different experience. The desert, hotter than I don't know what, and that wasn't the best part and the thing in the world, but I loved the desert. I loved it. That's where I first started riding a motorcycle. I had a bike. I used to ride my bicycle through the Joshua Tree National Monument and camp halfway in, and ride through the second half of the day. I would take 2 days to get through, just chilling, and get a hotel room when I got to the other end, and go have dinner, and then go back to the base the next morning. And it was fun.
Yeah.
And Palm Spring was only like 40 minutes away. It was you get enough of the hellhole, as some people called it, but I loved it. I thought the desert was beautiful. Hotter than I don't know what, but still. You call your family and say, hey, okay, I reported in. And, oh, what's the weather like? I hear the desert's really hot, and, oh, it's like 117 today. Oh, my gosh. Well, it's 85 here, and it's like 30% humidity. I'm like, that's how easy is that? I think it was 117 or 118 when we were ordered to stay in the barracks. There was some kind of a higher, once or twice that happened. And, I'm not surprised because it's the desert.
Yeah. I remember the anytime we're in the 29 Palms or any desert, my favorite thing about it is the sunrises and sunsets are absolutely beautiful.
They are. They totally are. The colors are amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you think sometimes you see the paintings and stuff like that of the sunset, sunrises of the deserts. It doesn't do it
Yeah.
justice when you're seeing it like in real life, you know.
For real. Yeah, that's for sure. 29 Palms was where I was when war was declared.
Oh, really?
And I was checking out. I was starting to, get some dental appointments to get all the appointments to get out. And I saw a group of 5 Marines, and the staff sergeant who was my instructor at NCO school was actually marching them around. And they were in desert camo and with the sand light color brown boots, whatever they were. No more black leather spit shine boots.
Right.
Did they have, and I'm like, oh, this is real. It's real now. It really is real. And we played the Marines hymn and a couple other songs and stuff and they would get on the bus, and this is down by the football field. They would get on the bus and go to the flight line and take off. And you've got this pit in your stomach thinking, oh my God, are they going to come back? And some of them didn't.
Yeah, true. Wow.
And that was back in 90.
Yeah.
And how many years has it been since then? It's been a lifetime.
Yeah. Now, was it a Drum and Bugle Corps at that point in 29?
It was. It was. Okay. After I got back, I want to think it was 8. When I returned to 29 Palms, it was the end, I believe, of 88. Yeah, that sounds right. Or somewhere in the beginning of 89. I just can't remember totally. But it was a band when I got back. I'm like, it was a culture shock.
Yeah.
It was different.
Yeah. It most certainly.
The whole environment is different. That. Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
I wasn't
so. So you started out there as with the Drum and Bugle Corps,
yes.
And you said when you got back, like after did you go somewhere in between there? What are you talking about there?
When you're a sergeant in the music field, you either go to recruiting duty or the drill field. And they said, recruiter's duty. I'm like, can I go to DI school? And unfortunately, they gave me orders. I was there, and I was writing them right before we went to the field. My knees kind of just said, we don't want this anymore. And I couldn't finish the class.
Yeah.
And they dropped me.
No kidding.
One of my female instructors wanted to stay there, wanted me to be able to stay and work with me, but they would not allow it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of sad. It was definitely depressing.
Yeah. How long was DI school back then?
Oh, I want to think it was 9 or 10 weeks. Okay. 9 weeks, and I think something like that.
And that was down PI, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you went down there, did the school, and then once you got your injury, you went back to 29 Palms.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I had to spend a short amount of time in the admin or headquarters company while I waited, and I had qualified on rifle expert. And
nice.
Thank you. And when I was still at 29 Palms, and they said, "Wait a minute, shot expert. We need a PMI." So Paris Island said this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yes. They had to call back to my parent command, and the band said no.
Really?
Yes.
I missed an opportunity.
And guess who said no? The same one that I mentioned to you that was a CO in our chat.
Really?
Yes. Yes. And when I got back to 29 Palms, same request from the range there. The response was no.
It's unfortunate.
Very, very. I wanted to stay in.
Yeah.
I did get an opportunity to be a stand-in on the rifle team at a competition one time on the range, and ones at a, I think we fired at 1,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That was not easy, but it was fun. It was fun, but I liked it. But
did you get one of the cool badges or whatever from shooting with the team?
No, nope,
Okay.
nope. They said, here, listen, you want to do this weekend? Yes, Gunny. Okay, we'll see you here and at this place, and that's how it was. There was no thank you, Sergeant, and yeah.
Huh.
I feel like I got the short end of the stick on a couple of things there. As a matter of fact, when I got out, there were a couple of people that knew me and knew of my situation. And somebody told me that I had been selected for staff, but nobody ever told me because they knew I was getting out.
What?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Totally.
Oh,
totally.
my God.
But, it is what it is. I think about that nowadays, and I'm thinking, well, you know what? It's their loss. Sorry. It's just their loss.
There was when I first came in, there was a stigma that's like you can't go on a B billet, drill instructor, recruiter, any of that stuff. So they called it, we were fenced from it, right? So they couldn't grab us. But it started to change, and eventually it's at a point now where we're sending guys out on recruiting or drill instructor, whatever the B billet is, we're sending them out all the time. And the reality is when you get one of those individuals back, there's so much reward for the unit because that person is been through the storm, right? Been through the fire, he's forged and there's so many things, lessons learned that they have gotten, and you give them a task, they're going to get it done because they've been through so much. It's like, oh yeah, I can do this, no problem. So I think the reward behind all those types of things, not just B billets and stuff, but like you saying, going on the shooting team or anything like that, there's so much reward for the unit on the backside. And it's unfortunate that like in your time and then even some of my time, there was that, I guess you were looked down on if you were trying to go outside the unit and do anything else.
Definitely. When I had that smile on my face a second ago, I was just thinking about pistol call. When war broke out, all the NCOs on up who hadn't qualified on pistol had to go and do so. And zero instruction, just here it is, go and shoot.
Oh, wow.
And so I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't qualify until my third time around.
Yeah.
And I shot, I don't remember the exact score, but I was a sharpshooter. But they said, oh, no, you have to take marksman because it took you 3 times to do it. And then they said, oh, Sergeant Cole, she's a worm farmer. Because I kept hitting the berm all the time.
Oh.
I know, right? Yeah. Funny now, but
yeah, at the time,
not so
I'm
much
sure
then. But
not.
I mean, you if I can take an M16 at 1,000 yards and just put it right through the middle there, why couldn't I do that with a pistol? Zero. I had zero instruction. I never had it before.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a different beast and a different animal all the way around when you're shooting pistol.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What I found now, once you get some instruction, it helps. That's true. But I found that when I go and shoot pistol, if that my first day, I shoot really, really well. And the longer I spend shooting, the more it gets in my head and the worse I do. It just kind of goes downhill. But if I could qualify day one, man, I'm good.
Well, with me for rifle, the day I shot expert, I had the night before, I think I had 2 or 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
And you just hold it in there as hard as you possibly can and just breathe. As a musician, we know how to breathe.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And so that helped a lot. So, and right when to do it, right when to pull it, and
Yeah.
boom, and there I got those nice little cross rifles, and it would have been nice to have little cross pistols, but no.
Yeah.
Worm
Yeah,
farmer.
absolutely. Worm farmer. I've never heard that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was a new one for me too.
So, kind of talk me through the rest of your time there at 29. Did you like what all do you remember, the good, the bad, the ugly, when you're thinking about that time?
I liked running there. I used to get up and run in the morning. I would have my gear ready to go at the building where the drum corps was, and I would get up, and we were up by I think the bowling alley is where the barracks was, and I would get up, run all the way down by 3rd Tank's chow hall and make a big loop up to the barracks and then run back down. And one morning, 3rd Tank's battalion was running, and I passed them up going up the hill. And
Nice.
Those in charge, their staff NCOs, I guess, were like WTFs, and I heard a lot of those, but I mean, and I had a pack on, not a big one, but just, little bit of shower gear, and they weren't happy. And I'm like, I'm just kind of like looking the other way like that, just trying to run, just trying to go,
Yeah.
I took, but nobody called me over, called me to the side, nothing like that. They just let her go. and I heard a lot of choice phrases, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
We would run in the middle of the night. Oh, well, yeah. We don't play around. Oh, I remember EOD was right next to us when I was getting out, and that was my last straw to try and grass bat. When I was getting ready to check out, right before they handed me the checkout sheet, rather, about a couple of days before, I went over and I talked to them. I said, "Have you got anything open?" And they talked to me, and they show put the suit on and all that. Can she handle the suit and all this other stuff? And they looked upon me favorably, I guess you could say. But then they said, "We don't take women right now." So it was too early. I would have gone to EOD, and I thought that would have been kind of stupid because I don't know how long I would have lasted, but because the obvious, but
Yeah.
I was trying to stay in, and I would have thought that somebody who wanted to stay in that bad was worth a chance, but apparently they didn't think so. So they're lost.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah. So you at that point you got out as a sergeant, selected for staff sergeant though.
Yes.
But never pinned on.
Yep. But nobody told me, so it was never really official.
Right.
Nobody told me I was selected. Nobody said nothing about it.
That's crazy.
I just found out years down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at that point then, where did you end up going?
Oh gosh. I stayed out in town for a while. Then I stayed with some friends down the street because they needed help with their kids. And where am I going to go? Okay, now it's time to go back home to New Jersey.
Okay.
I came back to New Jersey. I'm losing some time there. I can't remember the timeline. I don't remember a lot of it in between then. It was November of 90, and I came back. You know what? I'm sorry. It's a big fat blank right now.
That's all right.
I look for work. I know I was working at different places, like I worked at A&P, and eventually, excuse me. eventually, well, after I'd gotten out, I was super depressed, and I was putting on weight and everything, and I was morbidly obese. And eventually I had to go on Medicaid, and my aunt had pointed out to me that I had Medicaid would cover the surgery, weight loss surgery. So I went through that.
Right.
And yeah, and I lost 213 pounds, and I am where I am right now.
213. Yeah. Wow.
341 was the highest weight that I think I had. And that's like 17 years ago, almost 18 years ago, 18 in August.
Wow. Yeah. Now, what was surgery where they shrunk the stomach type of thing, or, is that the one that you did?
Open gastric bypass.
Okay, I see. Wow.
Stapled off half of it off, and the most intrusive possible kind, because there was enough of my body fat index was 56. More than half of me was fat. So
no kidding.
So but and that was a difficult recovery, not physically, more mentally than anything else. I had to go into a program, depression, a bunch of different things, and there I think William Patterson University and our local community college was offering chances to people to go to school. So I said, me. So it took me a while, but I got a degree in psychology.
No kidding. Nice.
Yep. And it is difficult to get work in the mental health field if you have just a bachelor's degree. Mm-hmm. So I'm still looking. A little bit of something every now and then, but mostly now it's like almost like sort of like BSO work. I do something like that. Right. They call me the veterans administrator for my township. So it's not really in mental health, but I have a bit of an ability, I guess, to meet somebody and I'll say, wow, Andrew, what's up? I can see, I can sense something in you that, I think you need to maybe talk to somebody, or like, what's going on, or
right.
My perception, so I was asked by the local place who I actually went through therapy with to start a veterans group. And right as we were getting ready to start, COVID hit, and two spouses who are more than happy to say, husband, please go. I think this is good for you. They said, no, absolutely not, because of COVID. So we never got to have that started, but I was just recently asked to come back and have it again.
Very nice.
So we're working on getting that started. Yeah.
That's really cool. And
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and that's through the VA there?
No, actually not. It's a local place.
Local thing? Very nice.
Yeah. Nothing to do with VA.
Yeah. Wow. Well, talk to me a little bit about like the lessons learned that you got whenever you gained as much weight and then you had the surgery, got better and lost all the weight. Like, talk us through a little bit of the psyche of that.
I don't even know where to begin with that. I knew that I wanted it. I knew that I wanted to be healthier. I go, by then I have a daughter, and she's young. She was 9 at that point, and she's 27 now. But back then, she was young, and I have to be there for her. I have to be there for her now. I have to be there for her until I'm in the dirt.
Right.
That's how it is with us. But I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to be better than, it's the same thing like when I enlisted. I said I was working overnight shifts at A&P in the deli, and I kept telling myself, this sucks. I'm smarter than sandwiches. Yeah. I have to do something. So eventually I got the chance to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that I had to do there's something better out there for me, and I had to get it.
Nice.
And yeah, so it's the part of it is thing that you learn as a Marine is to never give up. You never back down. You
Yeah.
never relent. You never, never,
That's
never,
good.
never backwards, only forward. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
And
like
that
that.
whole forward facing flag with the stars going and toward the enemy,
Mm-hmm.
that would have worked pretty well. That would have made sense if I applied it to that situation too, because oh my gosh, my weight was my enemy.
Yeah.
Getting through it was my enemy, because nobody knew then that I haven't had any mental health issues. There's familial depression on my father's side,
Yeah.
and I even had a few learning issues that
Mm-hmm.
I had to end up getting accommodations for when I was in school. So, and
Wow.
so what? I still did it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's that drive,
Yeah,
the determination that you learned in the military, in the Marine Corps specifically, to help push you through that.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, very
absolutely.
nice.
You just don't give up.
Yeah,
It's not
absolutely.
part of the
Man, that's
language.
yeah, yeah. Man, I like that. It's a good, successful story there. That's awesome.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, is there anything else that maybe we missed that you would like to talk about?
Um, I I don't know. I think there's one thing I impressed with my daughter. She's 20. Like I said, she's 27 now.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't face any of the learning issues or anything that I faced. I still face to this day, but I learned how to work around them. But
Mm-hmm.
she smart as a whip, and I would never allow her to quit. I wouldn't allow her to give up on a commitment. None of that. And when she got old enough to babysit, she would do the same thing with those kids. She would, but
Mm-hmm.
in a kind way, of course. But and I am fortunate and blessed that I was able to impart those values on her, as did my mother. My mother did the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
and she's now a registered nurse. She got
Oh,
a Bachelor
nice.
of Science in nursing, and yeah, and she absolutely loves it. But there's no accomplishing that goal without dedication.
Yeah, that's
You
for
know,
sure.
yeah. I think she
That's
wanted to.
a lot of tough schooling for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But it's what you learn in the Marine Corps. It's just like all the dedication, all of that. The don't give up is was she learned the same thing. And we even
Mm-hmm.
went to William Patterson University at the same time. I was closer to finishing my degree, and she was just getting into nursing school.
Right.
And I would get there early, park in my space, and stand in a space right next to mine, and I would look at the locator app and see her car coming up the road, and she would call me crying about how this, that, and the other thing, and I want to leave, and maybe I should go into teaching. And I said, no, 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 you finish the goal, like that.
Yeah.
And it's not me who did it, and it's not I who made that decision for her. She made a decision for herself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just being able to impart that kind of value in her that I'm thankful for.
Right.
Because otherwise, I'm not sure I would have. I can't be 100% sure that I would have had that with me to give her.
Right.
So
Interesting. I like it. Now you're
yeah,
heavily involved with nowadays with the American Legion.
yes, I've been in for almost 17 years now.
Oh wow.
It'll be
So
chronologically 17 in July, but this is my 16th year.
okay. Now, what are some of the benefits? Like, what do you see, and what would you advise the veterans out there? You know, I always try to push veterans to some sort of veteran service organization, whether it be the American Legion, Marine Corps League, you know, anything like that. You know, what do you see the benefits are?
Resources, the amount of resources that there actually are.
Mm-hmm.
You go to any American Legion post, I know if you walk into mine and say, we have a recent, a funeral coming up, a veteran. My father's a veteran. My father passed away. Can you help me go through this? You know, get through this situation.
Mm-hmm.
We have somebody in there, our service officer, who just, and I'm not bragging, but it just happens to be me. But I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. My point is, I'm not the only one there who knows what to
Mm-hmm.
do. I am not the
Yeah.
only one. There are a ton of people there who can tell you exactly what to do.
Right.
Just like the other units, I said that we're really tight. This is a family. Post 289 is a family, and we are tight, and we know what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you walk into an auxiliary member, maybe say, listen, I have this issue, and who can help me? Here, let me look her up, you know.
Yeah.
And I get a call. I'll get a call, or one of the other Legionnaires might get a call. And somewhere through the chain, this veteran gets help.
Yeah.
And it's a great family. It's a great bunch of people, but there are a lot of resources there that they can take advantage of. If we know that there's somebody out there in need, sometimes we have to go out there and say, hey, listen, I saw you on Facebook, and that happened recently with a couple of people, but listen, I just want you to know that this person can help. We have somebody here who can help you with that issue, and with the other issue, this group of people over here. And you find yourself needing to bring your laptop around you with you, and a notepad and paper, and it's not whining. I'm not whining here. It's just something that it's really kind of needs to be done, because if you're going to your post, and you might run into somebody who needs something, or somebody to talk to, even, you're going to need to take notes and be able to communicate with these people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the help comes. And if you don't know the answer, you know who does.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of us there who can, get you where you need to go.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Well, hey, toward the end of the podcast here, I always do these full auto rapid fire questions. So I figure we could jump into that.
Sure.
All right. What is your proudest military moment?
In boot camp. When dismissed, and we heard that word, that was it. We were in. We were real, and we were Marines.
I like it.
I don't think I can think of another. There was a lot of emotional times there, a lot of really exciting times, but when they hollered dismissed, that was it. We were in.
Yeah. That's awesome.
No turning around now.
Yeah. So, number 2, what is your most embarrassing military moment?
There were quite a few, but gosh, there were. Trust me. Gosh, I wish I could think. I know one time I forgot my uniform.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that I was either a corporal or a sergeant, and I was stationed in California with the Drum Corps.
Yeah.
I remember one piece of my uniform.
Yeah, that's
and
never.
It was hanging on my wall locker when no.
It was sitting right where it was supposed to whenever you got back.
Before I was supposed to put it on the bus. Yeah. That wasn't fun.
Love it. Yeah. I'm sure there were many conversations had about that, huh?
I'm sure. I kind of dropped it myself, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody talked about it.
Yeah. All right. If you could be one military leader for a day, who would that be?
Oh my. There are so many.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would have wanted to. The only thing I could think of that I don't know. There's so many.
There's a lot of great leaders out there. So,
Yeah, it would have been nice to be the commandant.
Yeah.
It definitely would have been nice to be that. I don't know if I would have slept. I think
Probably not.
the commandant probably didn't sleep very much.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
I would have wanted to make it through DI school too.
Yeah. If you could change one role in the military, what would it be?
One rule?
Yeah.
I don't think I'd change any. Any.
Yeah. That's a good answer.
As soon as I got out of active duty, I stuck my hands in my pockets a lot, but that's about it.
That's funny. What is one skill or lesson? What is one skill or lesson you learned that you still use today?
Never give up. Never.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's it.
Absolutely. Okay. In the apocalypse, we'll clarify because several individuals have gotten me on this. In a zombie apocalypse, what would be your weapon of choice?
I only watched that show for a couple of episodes. If there was a button to push, something that had a whole lot of rapid fire, lots of rounds, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
A big machine gun with a huge clip. Because how else are you going to get down the street? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good answer. All right. What animal best describes your time in the services?
Oh, my.
I putting you on the spot here. This is good.
I don't know how to answer that. The only thing I can think of is the first word that jumps out at me is loyalty. So I'm thinking a dog.
Oh, okay.
Because loyalty, and we stick together. We're always in a pack. We stick together and we take care of our own, and we always did.
Yeah.
There were a couple of situations, but majority of the time we always did.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I like that. All right, these next two are going to be real difficult for you, but which branch of the military has the sexiest uniforms?
Please. We do.
Okay. Yeah, so what branch of service is the best?
We do. Repeat.
Did you hear me?
Bad sound.
Oh, sorry. What branch of service is the best?
I lost you.
Buddy. You got me now? Can you hear me now?
You're wasting my time, man. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can
Yeah.
you hear me?
I can hear you.
I would just see that little emblem up there in the top of your screen there. That's us. That would be us.
I like it.
Come on.
Okay, last question.
I would think that's a given.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do interview, people from other services. So, you got to ask the question. Yeah.
Oh,
All
sure.
right. So,
of course.
Knowing what you know now, would you do it all over again?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good answer.
I would go in there with the same innocence and come out with the same smarts.
I like it. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Well, we're here at the end. Do you have any words of wisdom or anything that you want to share with the audience before we kind of close out here?
Here I am. I knew there would be one question why I would have a hard time answering. Never give up is the one that I keep repeating. But yeah, don't let just like the thing on the Till Valhalla project. Don't let the dark days win, because I deal with PTSD and depression and things like that. And don't let those dark days win. And there's always somebody out there who can talk to you. And just don't let the enemy get you down.
Yeah.
Because you have people out there who will stick by you. And
absolutely.
And
I like
reach out when you need to.
Awesome. Well, Kelly, thanks for coming on and doing this. It was good hearing your story. Thanks for spreading the love whenever you talk to people and sending things out. It's much appreciated. But yeah, I've had a good time. Hopefully you have too.
Absolutely. It was fun.
Awesome. All right. Well, to all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, you need some help, anything like that, don't forget the VA does have some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. I know Kelly cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies that you served with. Ask them how they're doing. And if they need a helping hand, please give it to them. All right. With that, Kelly, thank you. Appreciate it. To all the listeners, stay motivated. Change your socks.
Socks.